What's up, everybody? Welcome back to MLB Swing for the Fences here on Tuesday, April 8th, talking today's 10-game baseball slate. What was that? Joined by Mr. Steve Boyden, who is now free from college basketball and got the same hat as me on. Nice hat over there, Steve Boyden. Little Orioles night. Love to see it. How you doing on this Tuesday afternoon?
Yeah, we didn't even plan the O's hats. So
our other show, we had like the exact same outfit on as well. So at least today it's only the hat.
Yeah, last week we had the same like white hoodie or something on. So yeah, no, this wasn't planned, but I'm pretty sure I have to boost my Orioles exposure after showing up with the same hat on. We had the national championship last night. It wasn't a great game, but it was a close game. Wrapped up the season there. It's a grind doing the content every single day. So happy to turn the page over to baseball, where there's a little less work involved every single day of the season. So it's been a pretty good start. Had a good weekend watching games, and we've already lost at least one game on this slate due to them changing the game time. So it's an interesting one for sure. We get Coors on the slate. We get a bunch of cold weather again. So.
Yeah, some cold weather on the East Coast and Midwest, right? It's pretty much been cold. It was like the first day or two, it was like really, really warm, if you remember. And then it's been cold since then. Skipping like crazy. I assume you're talking about the show. It seems, it seems like fine for me. But, I don't know. We'll hope it fixes. Otherwise, we can go back and change something. I guess we'll just get right into it. Can you tell if anything? You there?
I'm here. Yeah, I can hear you just fine. Let's see what the chat says. Chat, let us know.
Yeah, I'll just take it straight live, I guess.
No, I think the stream's already going. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we are. Okay. All right. Everyone's saying we're good, so let's get to these games, Steve. I restarted the computer, so I gotta load up the on my website's good to go. But we will start here in a moment once I get the slate loaded up. Almost there. And we start in Tampa Bay. LA Angels, Tampa Bay Rays. Shane Baz going for the Rays, a guy that we've played, I think, a lot of throughout his brief career. I did not play him in his first start, or at least not too much, against Pittsburgh. One of the better starts of his young career, 33 DraftKings points in that one, 10 strikeouts, no walks, 6 clean innings, just 7 hits allowed. He was awesome. That was against the Pirates, but Baz does get another pretty good matchup here against the Angels. He does have to pitch in one of the more hitter-friendly environments of this slate. Pitching in, mild weather in Tampa, but still better than a lot of these cold weather games. So interesting spot there for Mr. Shane Baz. And then Kyle Hendricks still taking the ball. We've got a lot of crusty veteran pitchers.
There's a lot of Kyle Hendrickses on the slate.
There is a lot of Kyle Hendrickses, but we start with the original Kyle Hendricks himself, pitching for the Angels, going into Tampa. Can't strike anybody out. I think this is a pretty good spot for the Rays. I'm on Rays both sides of this one. Guessing you're going to have a similar approach. We start off in Tampa. What do you got for us, Steve?
Yeah, just kind of zooming out to the entirety of the slate, I think it's pretty cut and dry as to the offenses that we want. And then, there's a ton of really good pitching on the slate. DC, I think you could make an argument for 5 or 6 guys as the SP1 on this slate. Boz, like you said, like we played him all of last year when he wasn't striking anyone out. I'm pretty sure we both took the let's wait and see approach, not expecting 10 Ks and him to be sitting 100 the entire start.
Subscribe to Run Pure Sports for more great takes from me.
I mean, I have some skepticism that this is the norm going forward, that, the strikeout rate is going to jump, tremendously year over year. I do have reservations with that, and it's not like he's super cheap. So I think Baz is in play. We do have a really good projection on him. Captain's got him up near like the projection of Cease and Sale. So I do like him here against a weak Angels lineup. I think it's an interesting play in the mid-range. Who'll probably get, lost in the shuffle a bit because, we got Reagan, Sale, Wheeler, the top 3, obviously, and then he's just kind of stuck in the middle price-wise. So I think he's interesting. But I do think the best plays in this game are the Rays bats. Like we've been saying every show, this ballpark is going to play hitter-friendly. We've been aggressively attacking it early, and that's not going to stop tonight against Kyle Hendricks. Like you said, his ability to miss bats was never really there, but, reached a career low strikeout rate, career high walk rate last year. He's given up a ton of power the last couple seasons, and the Rays are cheap on DK. Like they're very gettable. They work really well with other stacks that we want on this slate, specifically the lefties. Brandon Lau, Aranda, Meisner, Mangum, Chief Mangum is in there. So really like the Rays here, especially at their price tags. My core is already up on the site. It's got some Rays in it. I think it's all Rays here. And then I'll have some Baz. I'm actually going to be pretty condensed for my stacks and fairly spread out amongst these, especially the top 6 or 7 pitchers. Wheeler, Cease, Sale, Baz, Castillo, Reagans, Peralta. I don't have like insane takes to kind of differentiate between those guys. So I'm, in my 20 lineups, I'll be spreading those guys out a lot, and then fairly condensed on the bats today.
Yeah. One thing that's tough this early in the season, and also obviously presents a good opportunity for, DFS players in the know, is that a lot of these pitchers and hitters to some extent too, like have changed something, right? In the offseason, adding a new pitch, changing the pitches that they have, changing the pitch mix of how often they throw each pitch, that type of thing. And obviously, a big part of what we're trying to do is identify which of the, performances like Shane Baz had are real, right? And are going to kind of continue going forward. To me, he's kind of up in the air a little bit, right? He's a younger pitcher, which is a point in his favor for being able to improve. We've always liked the stuff. And the overall stuff grade, so you can, there's models that kind of grade each pitch individually and then kind of come up with a algorithm or composite ranking. They don't actually think he's all that improved, but his pitches did change, it kind of in a substantial way, each one of them. So it's, and it's just one start. So again, even that kind of thing is subject to small sample size theater a little bit. So I do think there's a chance that Baz has reached a new level. I'm not ready to say that by any means quite yet. If I had to bet, I would kind of think it's going to be same old Shane Baz that we see this year. when in comparison to last year, but I do think he's at least an interesting play at 8,600. Should get the run support here. How many pitches did he throw? He threw 96, so they let him go.
Yeah, a ton.
Yeah, so he's got to be a pretty good play, right? At 8,600. There are, like you said, though, a lot of good pitching plays. I will say, personally, I wouldn't worry, or I'm not worried too much about pitching ownership today. I do think it's going to be pretty spread out. So it does seem like a pretty good day to just go with the guys, that you have the most confidence in, whether putting up raw score or point per dollar. Because I do think the ownership for pitching is going to be spread out. Boz will take, 20% of that, something like that? 20%, which seems fair to me on this slate. So Boz could play, no interest Hendricks. I don't just love this Tampa Bay offense in general, but you put Hendricks in this park, they're going to make a lot of contact, right? And that there could be even cheap home runs given up. They've got to be a pretty good play, especially at their price tags. Rays. So I am in on the Rays.
Pretty poor bullpen behind him too. If things go south.
Yep. And I almost kind of lean the cheaper ones because even the guys at the top of the lineup, they're not the greatest hitters in the world. So it does seem like a lineup that you could maybe save if you want to and go to the back half of it. Whereas some lineups that we'll talk about are so top heavy that to me it almost defeats the point of stacking them if you don't have the good players anyway. So we'll talk about those teams as we go along here. Philadelphia and Atlanta up next. Fun pitching matchup between the lefty Chris Sale and the right-hander Zach Wheeler. Two pitchers in their, I think, upper 30s now, but two guys that aren't slowing down anytime soon. Both these guys have looked I guess Sale's been a little bit shaky, but he's had two of the very toughest matchups in baseball, right? Going on the road, face the Dodgers and the Padres. Another tough one here against Philly, but I would say an easier matchup, at least DFS-wise, than the other two. And then Zach Wheeler, he's looked fantastic through two starts, 97 and then 105 pitches, 6 and 7 innings. And he's actually changed a few things about his arsenal as well. Don't often see that for pitchers, getting into their mid to upper 30s, but he is a pitcher who is always looking to improve and get better. And I've got about as much faith in Zach Wheeler right now as I do any pitcher in all of baseball.
Yep.
And it's not a perfectly clean matchup against the Braves, but I'm not really scared of this Braves lineup right now. I'm not running from it. And so I do think Zach Wheeler, even at that 10-5 price tag, my SP1, if I just had to choose who's going to score the most points today, I would take Zach Wheeler over anyone else. And I also think he does have the highest floor. I think he's the least likely to completely blow up your lineup. So I'm in on Wheeler here, despite the elevated price tag, which I do think will hold his ownership down a little bit because there are good options significantly cheaper than Wheeler available. Sale, I think, is fine, but didn't quite make the cut for me. Probably not going to bats either side, even with the power that both teams do bring to the table. What about you, Steve? Philly and Atlanta, what do you got for us?
Yeah, no bats for me here. It's going to be both arms. Pretty much agree with everything you said about Wheeler. The duration's locked in. He's off to just an awesome start of the season, 18 strikeouts and only 2 walks. And like you said with the Braves, normally a scary matchup, but right now they just haven't hit whatsoever. 24th in weighted runs created plus, 29th in ISO. Yeah. Very surprising against right-handed pitching. And they're striking out a ton. Second highest strikeout rate in baseball in the split against righties. He is expensive, but he's proven that he can beat these matchups pretty much consistently. So I think I definitely agree with you that, all things being equal, he's the SP1 on the slate. And I think he's the safest option on the entire slate. Sabres got him 17% owned, which I think speaks to what you were saying, where these top 7 or so guys are also good that it's kind of hard to take a super strong stand on any of them and leave out a potential guy like a Wheeler or a Sale who could have 10 or 12 strikeouts on a slate, especially if you're playing 20 plus lineups like I do. So I kind of think it's the same deal with Sale. You talked about the tough matchups. I'd say probably his 2 toughest matchups in the entire year at the Dodgers and at the Padres. As far as, fantasy upside.
Getting strikeouts and all that stuff.
Right. Yeah. The Phillies have been striking out a lot against lefties, 6th highest K percentage in the split. And Sale's been pretty unlucky so far. He's got a 333 BABIP and only a 60% left on base. So, like the underlying stuff is still good. And I just don't think that he's going to be 9,300 for long this season. So, yeah, I mean, tough matchup. But if you're playing multiple lineups, I think Sale is a guy that you want in there. We do have him actually with the highest raw projection on the slate per captain's projections here. So, yeah, it's all pitchers here. If I'm comfortable with the extra 1,200, I do prefer Wheeler over Sale, though.
Yeah, props are in on Chris Sale here. They're expecting a big performance out of him. Wheeler too, but at least via our projections and the prop market, which kind of those projections are mostly based on, Sale does come out better point per dollar wise over Wheeler. I kind of disagree with those a little bit. I'll take Wheeler in that question, but I get it with Chris Sale. I do think he's a good play, and I know I said not to worry too much about the ownership, but I'll take a little bit of ownership on Wheeler. I mean, there's not going to be very many slates where we get this guy at, potentially sub 20% owned for Zach Wheeler. So I'll take advantage of that. I'm not going to get to Chris Sale, but playing just a few lineups. So didn't quite make the cut for me, but honestly, no problem at all with Chris Sale. Certainly would be in my pool if I was playing 20 or, 150 or whatever. Just a lot of really good pitching options on the slate. That's Philly and Atlanta. Let's get to the Texas Rangers and the Chicago Cubs next. Still cold in Chicago. Steve, any respite from the winter mix that you guys have seemingly had for
What sucked is that when the season actually started, the Cubs were on the road and it was 70 degrees here, abnormally warm for a whole week. And then right when they get into town, it's just 30 degrees every day. The high today is 40. It's supposed to rain tomorrow and Thursday. But this weekend, right when they go back out of town, 68 and 69 degrees.
Okay. So I'm in Denver, and it definitely is true that when the weather warms up here, it kind of goes across the country. And so it'll get to Chicago, it sounds like, in a couple of days. Finally warmed up a little bit. But yeah, but the Cubs have scored runs despite of it, right? I never play them. I never play the Wrigley 35-degree games with wind blowing in. It's just don't do it. But I mean, they're putting up some pretty good runs regularly and probably burying the lead here. But Mr. Patrick Corbin, I don't know why he is still making starts at the big league level, but he is. He's going to go for the Texas Rangers tonight. I mean, anyone playing DFS over the last few years knows what to expect from Corbin. He is one of, if not the best, regular starting pitcher to stack against. Gives up home runs, gives up some steals, gives up a lot of big innings. Does Corbin? We'll see. It's Coors Field. Going to be hard still to hit home runs, but maybe Corbin can neutralize the field a little bit there. Interesting spot, I think, on what to do with the Cubs versus Corbin here. And then on the other side, Jameson Taillon going for the Cubs, coming off a pretty good start against the A's, 6 strong innings, 7 strikeouts in that one, 94 pitches, so he is fully stretched. He gets a Rangers team that I'm not that scared of this team either right now, especially in this weather, especially on they didn't play yesterday, did they? Cubs and Rangers? I don't think
they did, yeah.
Oh, they did, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Rangers, it's got to be tough going into Wrigley and trying to hit in this weather. So 6,200 for Jameson Taillon, not a guy that I play all that often, but he has to be in play at that price point. Going to throw 90-plus pitches in Wrigley as a favorite. I mean, I'm fine with playing Taillon. And there are, it's Coors Field. There's expensive hitters that you can certainly get to. So I think Taillon, pretty good play at 6,200, even if he's a little bit of a painful click. No interest in Patrick Corbin for me. Steve, your thoughts here, Texas and Chicago.
Yeah, Taillon's sitting around 10% owned on Sabre right now. It's been inching up all day as people are seeing that.
I bet it comes in higher than that.
Churio, Yelich, you're both 6K and Coors. You're gonna need cheaper options if you want to play those guys. But yeah,
I mean, Corbin Carroll, Gunnar Henderson, Tatis, all these guys are in really good spots.
Yeah, so that's a cheap price for a pitcher in these conditions, facing a team that hasn't really hit. Rangers 29th in weighted runs created plus in the split so far through 2 weeks. The only issue right? DC is like, there might be some opportunity cost if you take a 10 from Tyone and these other 6-7 arms are live for 25 plus. That's that's
but
the
you could miss out on a Tatis double dong by not doing it. So you can play that either way.
For sure. And we have a really good projection on Tyone here at RPS. 16.06 is pretty high for that price tag. I will definitely have some in the pool. And then, Cubs have been red hot. Fifth in ISO, fifth in weighted runs created plus so far, despite playing the last week here in Chicago. And they've done it in different ways. Like they've hit bombs, they've had sustained rallies. They've been taking a bunch of walks too. So, this was the issue. Well, the main issue with the Cubs offense last year is that they had basically like chain injuries throughout where they didn't have Seiya for a while. They didn't have, there were different guys that were out at different times, Bellinger. And then obviously adding Kyle Tucker has been massive. He's been so good out of the gate. I think the issue is kind of the price tags, right? Like you're playing these Cubs I just pulled up the weather. By the fifth inning, it'll be 35 degrees, basically. Like you're paying $6,500 for Tucker, over $5K for Seiya. Happ and Dansby are $4,700. Like these guys aren't cheap, and you're basically playing them over, like you said, like you're playing them over Coors, you're playing them over the O's here, you're playing them against some really good spots. So Saber has low ownership. I kind of think that it comes in a little higher just because people just want to stack against Corbin.
That's everybody's natural reaction when they see Corbin is to
like hell yeah, let's go. I am too. If this wasn't 35 degrees, I'd be playing a lot more Cubs here. I think they're playable, but they are not my favorite stack at these price tags in this weather. My hope is that Corbin pitches decently enough that we get to stack them more than just today against the Cubs. But I'm not sure how long. I think it's Leiter who went on the IL to get Corbin back up. So hopefully he gets a couple starts in. I'm going to have some Cubs, but I'm not going to be crazy on them here at these tags.
The Cubs lineup, man, if they can stay healthy, they're going to be dangerous when you get into the Wrigley summertime weather.
Like Shaw hasn't really hit yet, the prospect.
Yeah.
Happ hasn't really done much either. So, yeah, for sure.
I did want to mention, I know they haven't done a lot yet, but Shaw and Carson Kelly, even at the back of the lineup, I know it's going to be hard to hit home runs, but those guys do bring a lot of power in the 8-9 hole. Kelly looks good early on, and he's got kind of a history of mashing lefties. It's just one weird thing with catchers is like, I think by far more than any other position, they play through injury all the time. And so the catchers that are like currently hitting good, right? I think oftentimes it's just a matter of, maybe their hands don't hurt at the moment.
Right.
So I like to play the catchers that are performing well. Kelly, a guy who has shown some pop early on here.
The one issue, just real quick before we move on, the one issue that we're going to have the entire season with the Cubs and stacking is their 4-hole hitter the entire season is either going to be Justin Turner or Michael Busch. And they are going to be in a strict platoon where if it's like a close game in the 6th inning, they've already shown that they're going to use Busch. They're going to use Turner. So that's just something to
they both play third base, right? They just swap them left and right.
Yep. So painful for the cleanup spot,
It's a really smart way to play the first base position as a team.
Yes,
but
for
it
us,
really,
annoying.
really sucks for DFS. So I'm with you there. And more dangerous for Turner, right? Because there's more righties and lefties.
Right-handed relievers,
in most bullpens. That's Texas and the Rangers. I'm certainly going to have at least one full-on Cub stack. And I will final say, they are definitely a team that I think you want to fully stack if you're using them, just because it's going to be hard to hit home runs, even off Patrick Corbin. You're probably going to need them to string together hits and steals. They do like to run to really get there. So I do like that full-on 5-man Cub stack. You playing any Rangers at all? I don't think maybe a Corey Seager, but
I actually left Corey Seager in the pool for one-offs, and I X'd everyone else.
Yep, that's exactly what I did as well. Minnesota, Kansas City up next. Decent weather here in Kansas City, going to be 60 degrees, some winds blowing out. So reasonable weather to play baseball in at Kauffman Stadium. Mr. Cole Reagan's throwing from the left side here, one of the many aces going today. Looked awesome last start out against Milwaukee, 10 strikeouts over 5 innings. It's only made it 5 innings in each of the last 2, but has certainly looked like the Reagans of last year so far, which was a fantastic pitcher. 8,100 for him is almost like a criminally low price point. He's just a much better pitcher than that would indicate. And honestly, Lopez's price at 8K is pretty good too. I'm not playing Lopez here, just not enough strikeouts in the Royals lineup, and there's too many other good options for me to get to Lopez, but he'll probably pitch fine. Not really on the Royals bats either. And then Reagan's. Saber has him as the highest they've got Sale just passing him recently, but Reagan's right there, around 30% owned tonight per Saber's projections. Where does Captain have him? I think pretty high up as well, I'm sure. So yeah, Reagan's, I get it at 8,100 against a Twins lineup that is mediocre. I think is a fair word to describe the Twins. I think I should have included Reagan's in my write-up. I didn't. There were other guys I wanted to go to, but I do think he should have made the cut. Looks good here. The ownership may be a little high for me, given all the other options, but I totally get it with Cole Reagan's. Not in love in the bats with the bats in this one, Steve. What about you? Twins and Royals here.
Yeah, I gotta love this price on Reagan's at home in this park. Not as cool as it is elsewhere, but pretty good matchup against the Twins, who I think are much worse against left-handed pitching than they're going to be this year, especially when Royce Lewis is out, which he currently is. They just have more power in those lefty platoon bats, I think. Which are
outside of like the 12 games that Royce Lewis plays.
Yeah, so
gonna be good.
Right now we're okay. But yeah, I mean, he was in a good bounce back spot last outing. Had 20 whiffs, I think, in that game, DC. Which is, that'll play. Twins so far, 4th highest strikeout rate against lefties, dead last in weighted runs created plus in the split against lefties, really missing Royce in the middle of that order. We've been buying his talent upside for, over a season now, and that's not going to stop here. Love this tag. He is in my core for single entry stuff here at 8,100. And then, I'll probably be about the field overall on him just because I'm going to have between 20 and 40% of, this 7 guys that we'll list at the end of the show. So I like Reagan's here. I didn't get to any of the Twins guys. I kind of like KC a little bit here just because the weather's okay. And like I'm kind of searching for some extra teams where I can have some minis. So I might keep the top of the order in the pool here for KC, but not totally in love with it against Lopez.
Will mention, I know I said I'm not playing hitters here, but I do think the one-off right-handed power against Reagan's makes some sense given that we know he's going to be owned. The Twins do have guys who could square up a fastball. Buxton, Jeffers, Correa, Miranda, Bader has 3 home runs already. So, I might mix those guys in on one-offs, obviously, on teams without Reagan's, but not going crazy with it with the Twins. And, you're out on the bats here, sounds like.
Yeah, I'm going to keep some one-offs on the KC side. Some Witt, Pasquantino, Salvi is still eligible at both catcher and first. So, we've seen Lopez give up some power, and based on the entirety of this slate, it's probably like the 3rd or 4th best weather that we have, even at 60 degrees. So it's not, a super negative spot for run scoring.
You know who's going to ruin your night, your single entry team?
Who?
Ty France.
God, I hope not. No, he's gotten his month's worth of hits over the last couple of days. He's due for a nice 1 for 30 skid.
Just the irony of you're chasing down a GPP win. Tyler France comes to the plate, slams one off Reagan's.
Broken bat double down the line.
That's probably more likely for Tyler France than the slam home run. All right, that's Twins and Royals there. We'll keep moving. We go to Coors Field for some pretty decent weather here tonight. Maybe I'll get out to this game. Could be a good one to watch. Load up on these offenses. We got Kyle Freeland going for the Rockies, soft tossing lefty. I know it doesn't always work, but I've always got interest in the Coors stacks against Kyle Freeland. Not going to change tonight. Brewers bats. They've been a little quiet, but Jackson Chourio looks like he's figured it out. He started off awful, but he's got a few home runs recently. And then, obviously you've got Yelich, Contreras, Hoskins. These guys haven't done a ton yet, but I still think they're good plays against Freeland. And then, on the other side, Freddie Peralta, I think, is an interesting play here. This Colorado team, they're obviously going to have a lot of big games in Coors Field, and they could have one tonight. But, they're still going to strike out a ton against good right-handed pitching, even in Coors Field. And Peralta is one of the pitchers who it does look like he has kind of fixed himself. We talked about it last year. He was really struggling with his mechanics. I was reading he had to move completely to the other side of the pitching rubber to basically be able to make his current setup with his mechanics and pitches work. And now he's fixed the mechanics, so he's back where he used to be. And at least so far, the results have proven true. He's been one of the few pitchers who has gone into Yankee Stadium and pitched well, 8 strikeouts against them over 5 innings. And then he faced the very contact-heavy, not strikeout prone at all Royals, mowed through them. 8 innings, just 2 hits, 1 earned run, 8 strikeouts, no walks. He's at 16 strikeouts, just 1 walk so far on the young season. And
he's looked great.
He's got a pitch in Coors, but I wouldn't be surprised if Peralta put up a big one here. So I'm in on the Peralta train. We'll risk it in Coors Field. What about you, Steve? What are you doing here with Coors Field, Denver and Colorado Rockies and Milwaukee Brewers?
19 swing strikes here for Peralta in that last outing too. The pitch counts have been super encouraging, 93 and 97 in the first 2 starts, whereas we're seeing a lot of guys, 80, 85, they've already shown that they're comfortable with him pushing 100 pitches in this spot. Like you said, Rockies, I put in the playbook, their lineup right now is like 2024 White Sox level bad as against righties. Their highest strikeout rate in the split, dead last weighted runs created plus, 28th in ISO, just really, really bad. He's going to have some volatile outings just because he is an extreme fly ball pitcher. And when he's not getting the swings and misses, it could go bad for him. And he is in Coors, but man, by far the best play under 8K on this slate. Captain's got him projected for 20.03 at 7,800. I'm going to lean into that for my main team at least. I've got Reagans and Peralta on my main. I think he is a great play here. Hoping that people are scared off of Coors. Until these Rockies bats do anything, we just have to attack them every day, no matter kind of what's going on. So that's what I'm going to keep doing here. I'm going to buy into this price dip for Peralta. He should be 8,800 here in this spot at Coors. And then, the Brewers bats, like we said, pretty expensive. We don't have the lineup yet, I don't think. But the guys that we know are going to be in there, Chourio, Yelich, Contreras, Turang are all 5,200 or more. They do have a switch hitting outfielder. I can't remember his name, but he's 3,100. If he makes the lineup, I think he's interesting to kind of balance things out, with the
Isaac Collins.
Collins, yes. So keep an eye out for him making the order just because he'll have less pinch hit risk if he does against Freeland. I'm a bit concerned about if if Vinny Capra gets to start, he's a big pinch hit risk. So I bumped him down in projection. But yeah, I mean, you can't argue the spot. This is, kind of the end of the road for Freeland here. He's got the increased velo to start the year, but that happened last year right before he got bombed and then got hurt. So I'm not really concerned attacking him. And then I guess if you wanted, like if you aren't buying into Peralta, you could probably go home run hunting on the Rockies side just because he is such a fly ball prone guy. But we aren't really getting much of a discount on the Rockies bats on the other side anyways.
Doyle, to me, Doyle and Tovar are clearly their two most dangerous bats. Like everyone else in this lineup, man, is
pretty bad.
Tovlia, I guess, but he hasn't done anything so far.
He hasn't done anything, and he's still 4,500. Not really going to discount here in Coors. So I love Peralta here. I'll have some Brewers, but I don't currently have them on my main lineup, but that could change.
Yeah, Rockies did call up their top prospect, Zach Veen, who's going to be a fun player to watch, left-handed speedster, but not in the pool today. So unfortunately, can't play him. He probably frankly would have been the best play against Peralta that there is, swinging from the left side with speed, but not today. Tomorrow we can get to some Zach Veen. I think the Milwaukee will have to start one of Frelick or Mitchell, so left versus left, and I would assume that player will be safe, probably, given that they're starting with the lefty in their lineup anyway. So I do think Milwaukee going to have plenty of players to get to. But yeah, I mean, obviously a pretty fun stack against Mr. Freeland in Coors Field. Let's get to the D-backs and the Orioles. Up next, we've got Merrill Kelly going for the D-backs. Been a rough start for Mr. Kelly, who kind of fell a little bit back last year too, getting up there a little bit in years, although not as much as his counterpart Charlie Morton, pitching for the O's, who refused to spend any real money on pitching, Steve. So they're running out.
So frustrating.
Mr. Morton as a Twins, as a Minnesota fan, I understand the lack of spending money is annoying. Morton is gonna Morton, right? I mean, we kind of know who he is. Did get 10 strikeouts last time out against Boston, but also gave up 5 earned runs. He's given up a lot of base runners, almost 10 base runners in each of 8 base runners in each of the first 2 games in 5 innings and 3 1/3 innings. To me, he's the type of pitcher you want to stack against, where you just got guys all over the bases, prone to the big inning. I love the D-backs here. Let me down last night, but I'm back in on it. I mentioned it on the show yesterday too, but man, Corbin Carroll right now is locked in. He's a player I want to get as much of pretty much every night as I can, including this one, of course, against Morton. So I'm in on the D-backs. I'm in on the Orioles too. Lefties crushed Merrill Kelly last year. Looks like that could be the case once again. And the Orioles got some good ones, right? Henderson, Rushman, O'Hearn, the youngster Kierstad, Mullins, Holiday. Gotta love our Orioles tonight, Steve. We both got the hat on. What are you doing with Orioles and D-backs here?
Yeah, and at least according to the D-backs website, the roof's going to be open here, high 80s in Arizona. I kind of prefer this at these price tags to the Brewers, which is what I was just referencing. Like, it's tough for me to play the Cubs even against a pitcher in those conditions when we have this game in Arizona with 2 pitchers that we want to attack anyways. Yeah. And there are cheap bats in both lineups that can really make this work. Like, the only guy that's priced up for Arizona is Carroll, and he should be. Yeah. Someone asked in the Discord earlier if you had any concerns that he hasn't attempted a steal yet. I don't think so. He's always on
second or third base or around the bases.
And I basically said, well, when you hit a double every time at bat, it's tough to steal.
Yeah. I can look it up. He's got 12 hits on the year, and 8 of them have gone for extra bases. So there you go.
So I'm not concerned that Corbin Carroll is not going to run. But yeah, no, I love both sides. I game stacked this game last night on my main, and I think that's squarely in play here. Saber has a big team total on Baltimore over 5 here, second highest on the slate. I echo basically everything you said. Lefties on both sides of this game are in great spots. Morton walk rate up to 9.3% last season. We know he's going to give up bombs with the big curveball, just going for strikeouts. He's allowed a 72% hard hit rate and 16% barrel rate so far this year. And like you said, the Snakes have a bunch of impact. Lefty bats in this game environment, gotta love it. And then, Kelly has looked terrible to begin the season. I kind of want to buy into DC, like this not just being a poor start to the season, but like him maybe being out of gas here.
That was the first thing I wrote in my write up on the Orioles is sometimes the end comes quickly for these pitchers, and it might be here for Merrill Kelly.
Yeah, I kind of want to be ahead of it. Not that the O's are like some surprise stack here, but I want to be aggressively attacking spots like that. I think this total is going to hit 10 before lock. It was at 9.5 when I wrote the playbook, and it's on 10 at Sabre. So, I love both sides here. Kjerstad is going to play more while Kowser's hurt. He hasn't hit a bomb yet, but we know that he has great power too as a cheap piece. If they start both O'Hearn and Mountcastle, that helps O'Hearn a bit from pinch hit risk. They did that last night. So keep that.
They will. Yeah, I bet they'll do it again.
And then good to see Gunnar kind of get going after a really slow start off the injury. He had a couple hits and 2 steals last night. So good to see him getting going a bit too. But this is all bats for me. These are going to be probably my highest exposed 2 teams on the slate bats wise.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on these two stacks. And just to elaborate on your point about Kelly and kind of trying to get on board, like these aging pitchers, I think Kelly's 36, Morton's like 40 years old, who starts showing signs of decline. For sure, like there's no way that they're gonna reverse it and start getting better, right? At the very worst, you're getting the version of the pitcher who you kind of want to stack against anyway. But you also get a chance that they're way worse than the projections show, right? And they're truly kind of falling off a cliff. So I love, just in general, getting in on against these already kind of bad, but potentially getting even worse starting pitchers. We will keep it moving from that game to Seattle. Seems like every slate has a game in Seattle so far this season.
Have they played a road game yet? Like
I don't know. It doesn't seem like it. I'm sure they have.
This is Castillo's 3rd start at home already.
Yeah. There you go. Luis Castillo starting for the Mariners. We love, obviously, pitchers in Seattle. Do we know if Framber's going yet? Did they say?
I don't think they've confirmed yet, but I think he's currently scheduled to go.
They probably would have said he isn't pitching if he wasn't. I would.
Yeah,
think.
By now.
Yeah. So it should be Framber Valdez. I don't really want to play him dealing with the illness though. So I'm off Framber on the slate, even in Seattle. Who is better, clearly better against left-handed pitching anyway. And then Luis Castillo, I think he's a pretty good play here at 8,500. It's just an awesome slate for pitching. There's a lot of dudes I want to play. Castillo didn't quite make it for me, but pitching at home here, he's got a pitcher's umpire. I mean, Astros haven't done anything all year, really. I have no problem with Castillo. Just didn't quite make the cut for me, Steve.
Yeah, I think Castillo a better play for like my style where I'm playing 20. Just having him in the pool in the spot. We were on the show last Tuesday, DC, where I was pretty much banging the drum like this Houston team is going to struggle against decent to above average right-handed pitching, and you see it every game. They just have no power against righties, a lot of ground balls. And Castillo at home against Seattle as a guy who has pretty much dominated right-handed bats over his entire career. It's a really good spot for him in general. And I'm seeing 13% owned on him. I'll definitely have more than that. I'm not sure. Do we have the Houston lineup yet? I don't think so, but it's going to be 7 or 8 righties. Their numbers so far against right-handed pitching, 3rd highest strikeout rate, which is a big change from last year. 28th in weighted runs created plus, dead last in ISO in that park. Castillo's not the arm that he once was, but in certain spots, he is very playable. This has got to be one here. I just want to keep attacking Houston with above average to elite, obviously, but like even guys who are just above average or decent, I'm going to be using right-handed pitching against Houston until something changes. They just look dead against righties.
Yeah, and pretty good spot to use a pitcher who's dead against righties because, he dominates righties himself. Like you said, he's got a pretty big split, especially over the last couple of years. Really alarming split, righty-lefty. He's been dominant against right-handed bats, which is going to be the vast majority of that Houston lineup. So might need to get a little exposure to Luis Castillo in some way because I do think this is a pretty damn good spot for him. You go into any hitters here? I don't really see anybody to play. Jordan Alvarez would be the only play that I would use.
No bats here, and you're not going to find a bigger Fromber fan than me, but I'm not playing him on this slate with the concerns around his health. I just don't see it necessary at 8,800.
Yep. Yeah, I totally agree. Not a risk that you need to take tonight with so many good pitching options. 3 more games to get to. We go to the West Coast. We've got San Francisco and the Cincinnati Reds. Had if you don't like offense, if you like pitching, a good pitchers duel last night between Logan Webb and Hunter Green, who looks absolutely amazing to start the year.
So good.
1 out short, I believe, of a complete game shutout complete game shutout for Hunter Green. They'll go with Nick Lodolo, who I actually, shame to admit this, but kind of liked more than Hunter Green when they were coming up. Has not proven true so far. Green's been awesome. Lodolo's been okay too. The numbers actually this year through 2 starts the surface numbers look really good for Lodolo. Low ERA, low WHIP, but I don't have the most faith in the world in Lodolo anymore, and I actually kind of think these Giants right-handed power bats are kind of fun one-offs. Chapman, Elliot Ramos looked okay to me. I'm not getting to Lodolo here. I do think, though, Steve, that Giants rookie Landon Roop, is it Roop? Not quite sure, but he looks like he might have some talent. 8 strikeouts against Houston over the 4 innings, got up to 83 pitches, so doesn't appear to be on too much of a leash. He did get hit around a little bit in that game, but I care, for one start, much more that he was able to miss bats and strike people out than I do that he gave up a few runs. So 7,300 for Roop against the Reds, who,
the Reds suck, dude. This lineup is so bad.
Just monster games against the Reds, like 5 or 6 of them so far. You got to have some interest, I think, in Landon Roop here. So I'm in at 7,300. And then, like I mentioned, I think it's the Giants right-handed power that's interesting to me. Obviously, you can always play Ellie De La Cruz if you want to go in that direction. What are you doing, Steve, with Giants and Reds here?
Yeah, the Reds had that one explosion on what was it, Saturday? That's propping up basically all of their statistics. They've had such a terrible season. Webb just shoved on them last night. Looked great. It was pretty frustrating that Green couldn't finish Kings. Yeah, I had a bunch of them too. But yeah, two pitchers that I don't really know what to do with on this slate, DC, on a slate where there are a bunch of pitchers that we kind of know what we're getting and we have high confidence in. I think Roop would be a guy that I would be playing some of / more of if this was a different slate. Like, he's not that cheap. He's only 400 less than Peralta, who we both really like. I think he's fine. I kind of want to see more though. Yeah. For him, Lodolo, it looks like he has changed his pitch mix to try to allow less home runs, which is good for him. But it's good. It's probably going to cost him some of the strikeout rate because he's throwing more sinkers. His ground ball rate is way up, strikeout rate way down so far. Not sure yet if that, if this is something that's going to stick, DC, but it's at least a little bit scary for his upside as far as the strikeouts are concerned. So kind of in wait and see on him too. 3% owned for Lodolo, gets a huge park upgrade, arm that we kind of like. I think for him, it's also like if this was a different slate and we didn't have Wheeler, Cease, Sale, Reagans, Castillo, like there's so many good arms that like, am I really going to waste 20% of my lineups on Lodolo when it could just be more Reagans or something like that? So He's the guy that I haven't really made a decision on. The projection's okay, but I'm just not entirely sold. And like you said, while the Giants do strike out a lot in the split against lefties, they also have a bunch of right-handed power. So, yes.
Lodolo's not the play this slate at 8,200. It's just with the other options.
So,
yeah.
What I was going to say was I'm probably out on Lodolo.
Okay. Yeah, well, poor choice, Steve. You should get more of those Reagans and Peraltas in.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess maybe the slight disagreement here. I like Rook better. It sounds like you like Lodolo slightly better. Yeah, no one dying in the background. I can't. Is the sirens over by you? Probably. You're in Chicago.
There's always sirens going by the apartment. Like, if there's not, it's like eerily quiet. At least I don't have the windows open today. Like, I sometimes will forget, when it's nice out and not 30, and we're already on the show, and the windows are open. But yeah, no, it's a normal thing, James.
I can't hear it, so there you go. Last game on the slate then. No Mets and Marlins, right? They're playing early, or right now, I think.
Yeah, they're playing right now.
Yeah. San Diego and the A's then are our last game on this slate. This one, of course, in Sutter Health Park in Sacramento. So we do expect this park to play hitter-friendly. Going to be mild weather tonight for Dylan Cease going for San Diego, and then Jeffrey Springs going for the A's. Cease has been pretty much what you expect through 2 starts. Really good pitcher, high strikeout guy, goes deep into games, all that good stuff from Dylan Cease, who, frankly, he's another, I think, pretty good option tonight, who I'm going to have less of than I would like to just because of all the other pitchers. And then Jeffrey Springs looked fantastic in Seattle in that first start, 9 strikeouts, 6 innings. I played him that day. I remember watching it, though, and kind of thinking, this feels like more like Seattle sucking than Springs being, some dominant arm. And then it, obviously came back to the regression monster came in a big way against the Cubs. Gave up 4 earned runs, but 4 walks, 5 hits, only 3 innings in that one. And I kind of lean more towards Springs as the shittier version of those, of the first 2 starts. And I kind of like the Padres here a little bit up against Springs. Cease, like I said, I think is a pretty good play. But I'm on the Padres side of this one. What about you, Steve? San Diego and the Athletics.
Yeah, see, that's hurtful. I mean, we like Jeff Springs overall, but
I'm not sure.
I agree that I think he's going to be
his stuff grades out way worse than it did when he was good.
I think he's going to be a guy that we use in certain matchups that are plus, and he's going to be attackable. He's going to be one of those middle of the road to a little bit better than that, where a spot like this you can easily attack him. I'm going to be using some Padres here. It'll be interesting to see if Jackson Merrill is back in the lineup. He missed last night. I think it was a hammy. It would suck if he missed, but that also makes this lineup just super, super cheap, especially against left-handed pitching. Like, they're going to start Yuli Gurriel for 2K. Lockridge is 2,300. Elias Diaz, 2,200. So it's super easy to make sure that you get Tatis and Machado in your lineups for the full stacks, just because of how cheap the rest of the team is. So I'm with you on Padres. Going to continue to play, especially road bats in this park. Tough to get to the A's against Cease at these price tags. They're priced up based on where they've been playing. And yeah, Cease always has upside to be SP1. I do like him a bit less than Wheeler, I think. Just because the A's haven't been striking out as much, 6th lowest strikeout rate for righties so far. Obviously, Cease can overcome that with his K upside and talent. But yeah, so I think if you had to rank like the 8K plus guys, I think it's Wheeler, price involved. Reagan's, Wheeler, Sale, Castillo, Cease, Boz, I think.
Yeah. It's honestly it's so close between
It's
the
so
guys.
close.
That's why it's hard to.
This is a really good slate to play 20 lineups. Is what I'm trying to.
Yeah, and it's not really what obviously you guys watching want to hear is that all these pitchers are more or less projected the same. I mean, it's just razor thin between these guys. I'm going Wheeler. That's just kind of it's like the guy I trust the most. Just kind of watching these guys pitch.
Yeah.
I have the best feeling about him, and when there's nothing else, numbers wise, really to differentiate, it seems like an okay way to go ahead and pick your favorites based on whatever, because you can really choose any of these guys. By the way, this A's stadium, Sutter Health Park, I can't wait till the summer when it gets scorching hot. It's there's have you watched the games there? It's like a true minor league park. So it's a capacity of 10,000 people.
I know.
We're gonna see some daytime A's go absolutely nuts this year. So
yeah, we were talking about it when I was on with Stats. I think it was 2 weeks ago. Everyone's saying that Will has the same dimensions as the Coliseum. That may be true, but the Coliseum is also 300 feet tall, not a one-story building where the wind and the heat is really.
And also there's not nearly as much fall ground, which was really, really annoying. All the freaking foul pop-ups in the Coliseum.
So tilting.
Yeah, tilting. So,
so tilting.
I'm excited for summer games in both parks. The Rays and the A's. It's fun because those are two of the worst parks. Tropicana and the Coliseum, and at least for DFS purposes, these are going to be two awesome parks. Yeah,
I was actually talking with my friends, and they were kind of complaining about it. I was like, no, you have to play some DFS, and then you'll get it. This is going to be an upgrade for us.
I'm very excited to get to some hot weather in those two places. But that is all of the games. Steve, let's go over pitchers. We kind of just did that, but I mean, I guess we'll just do the core plays. Who's your main lineup? Your favorite pitching pairing today?
Yeah, it's going to be Ragans and Peralta for me. Just because when it came down to it, I think that those are the two most underpriced pitchers on the slate for a main lineup. I feel like Wheeler, Cease, Sale, you could argue, are a bit underpriced, but Reagan should be over 9K in the spot. Peralta should be about 9K. So that's what I'm going to have in the 121 here. But those top seven, we were just talking about, I'm going to try to be over the field on all of them, honestly.
Yeah, I'll join you on the Peralta train. I'm going to go Wheeler as my top guy. Yeah. So you're taking the price discount. I'm taking the ownership discount.
Yep.
Honestly, I do, just a brief point. On days like today where you can comfortably kind of go up and down the pricing spectrum, even down to Tyon, who I'm fine playing at 6,200. It is, especially if you're hand building. I'm kind of building out the stacks, trying to get a perfect 5-3 or whatever, and then seeing who fits in those two pitcher spots. I do think it's a pretty good type of slate to build like that. You don't play FanDuel, do you, Steve? So you can't answer the favorite pitcher over there. Kind of a similar story. I'm trying to get up to Wheeler if I can. But yeah, you can even go down to Reagan's is cheap there too. I mean, all the same guys, obviously. But I'm trying to Wheeler.
Looking at the FanDuel pricing, it's kind of they're bunched up a little bit more.
Yeah.
The Castillo, Reagan's, Peralta tier is much closer to Wheeler on FanDuel.
When Wheeler, I feel like has the best chance for the 6 innings quality start bonus that you can get. And we're stacking Orioles with the double Orioles hats. Speaking of stacks, Steve, let's get to them. Your top 3 stacks on the night.
Yeah, O's. I don't play the O's too often, even as an O's fan. But this is a great spot for me, like we talked about against Kelly, especially the lefties. Going to have O's in my main. I like O's. We talked about Tampa about an hour ago against Hendricks. Good team total, great park. A team that has done us well to start the year. We were on, the Mangum, Aranda, Meisner when they were a bit cheaper, but they're still pretty cheap here. I really like Rays. I do think you can 5-man them with the double stud pitcher, which is pretty cool on this slate. If you want to play Wheeler and Cease, Wheeler and Sale works really well with the Rays, given that their highest priced guy is Brandon Lowe at 4,600. And then third is going to be the Snakes. I think the game stacks out in Arizona are going to be probably my highest exposed spot. So I'll go O's, Rays, and D-backs.
I'm going to join you in the Arizona game. I just love that game for offense. But listen, been wrong plenty of times before and will be in the future. But this game feels like it's going to be full of runs. Orioles and D-backs. And for wrong, we'll move on to the next one. But I feel good about this one tonight. And then I'm throwing in the Cubs. I never go to the Coors Field freezing cold games, but Patrick Corbin, I'm making an exception tonight, which I'm sure means that finally, we'll actually get the 1-0 Wrigley game.
If it was like 60 degrees, I would be going to this game and stacking Cubs.
Yeah.
I would be on the L.
I'd be on a flight to Chicago.
We get the W Club going,
All right, Steve. Home run call. Give us one guy who's going yard for the people.
I've got to go to my O's here. Guy who finally got off the schneid with some steals last night, but he doesn't have a bomb yet. Gunnar Henderson gets his first bomb for the O's tonight.
I'm gonna go. I love that call. I'm going off the board with the true one-off. Mr. Matt Chapman takes Lodolo deep, I assume, at some very low ownership. And that'll do it for this show. We will be back same time, same place tomorrow. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hit the like button if you haven't yet done so. Join us over at Run Pure Sports. Use promo code RPS15. We'll get you 15% off. Got the Masters coming up in a couple of days. Great time to join the party over at Run Pure Sports. That'll do it for Boyden. I'm DC. We're out of here.